Acknowledge return command.
What are they saying?
They want me to come with them.
Tell them you're already home.
I love this movie. Honestly, it was an instant classic, and it just kind of takes you back to the times when in your childhood when your parents put on the Iron Giant for you at home, or whenever they put on Bambi, The Fox and the Hound. It has those type of old school classic vibes, but at the same time, it does not miss out on anything with modern storytelling.
So what are you going to name them?
I assign to you, Gosling, 0001.
With a modern movie, and don't get me started on the animation. It was such beautiful animation and different from what we're seeing right now. I know the Pixarification of animation has really made things a little more bland when it comes to animation. But this movie, just like Spider-Verse did in 2023, Across the Spider-Verse, with its animation, this broke another barrier in animation with having such beautiful layouts, beautiful landscapes that look almost as if watercolored but 3D at the same time. It was so interesting to watch. It was like eye candy to watch in itself. Not to mention, all the characters that are played in this movie were played to perfection. I mean, don't get me wrong, this movie is not perfect. Like, that is such a high bar to have a perfect movie. You have even Christopher Nolan films not reaching a perfect status. But as far as animated movies go, modern day animated movies, this is peak. This is peak cinema. Like, for real, peak cinema with The Wild Robot. And I'll go into the why, but really quick, I just want to say, if you are interested in seeing more videos like this, I'm going to be putting a lot of videos like this on this channel. So please hit that subscribe button, please hit the bell notification, and let's get right into the video. Let's go. So the way this movie starts out with setting a premise of this robot that's a machine, it's an AI, which is kind of, today's modern world is getting really big on AI. So I think a lot of us were able to pick up on the whole AI robot situation very quickly. And we see that the robot, or Roz is the name she gave herself, is interested in this world but trying to just do what her programming says, as the robot would do. But we really get to see the beginning of trying to find someone to help, to do a task with. And I really like how this eventually relates to in the middle of the movie, where Roz starts to tell the animals about sometimes we need to break from our programming. In our daily lives, we're programmed so to the T. We get up, we go to work, we take a break, we work more, we have lunch break, we keep working, we go home, we see our family, and we're so programmed. We have our responses already sketched out inside of us, the responses we give to our family when we speak with them, the responses we give to our boss, the responses we give to people on the street. We're so programmed to live a life the way that society kind of puts us in. This earth full of cities, full of constructions, is so programmed, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, because through all that programming we've been able to reach this height of the food chain, right? Humanity, we're at the top of the food chain, and we reign over this earth. So programming is a good thing, but as Ross was saying, to become something more, you need to break from that programming every now and then. Every now and then you might come walk next to somebody that might be having a bad day. They might have a sad look on their face. But if you stick to that programming that you just brush them off and keep on with your day, if you would have broke from your programming in that moment and gave a compliment to that person, you might have made their day better. You might have changed the course of events that they might have followed later in that day due to them being in a bad mood or being sad. So, and this goes with anything, you know, it can be with your family, it can be at work, like I said, with a stranger. But I really like how they highlight this. This movie has so much different lessons. This is just one of them. But of course, the whole movie gets into the teaching of motherhood and what it means to be a parent, what it means to take a young one under yourself and to provide and to take care of. And we can see how eventually that doesn't just become a chore. as any parent can express that loves their children, once they feel that love, there's no going back. They feel the need to take care of this person that looks to depend on them. That's how a mother sees things, and I'm not a mother, I can't attest to mothers, but I had a mother, and I can tell you that, wow, this really does touch base with a mother's emotions are when it comes to caring for a child and feeling the responsibility and the duty. I related it personally. I related a lot of what Roz did with her son, I guess, with Brightbill, a lot to my own life, which I think everyone does whenever they watch this movie, because this movie is so carefully crafted. And real quick, I'm going to touch on the fact that Lupita Nyong'o, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Hopefully I'm not butchering it, but Lupita did a great job with the voice acting for Roz, because in the beginning, I straight up thought it was Siri. Like, I thought Siri was out there talking on the camera, right? Or on the audio. I thought it was Siri herself giving us a performance. But later on, you hear how her voice kind of humanizes throughout the film. And I guess humanize is such a weird word to use, and she's a robot, and with animals, and no humans are involved. But the story, it's a human story, you know? Like, it's very human. And whenever we get to see Roz's voice humanized over the course of the film, you really get to see, along with that, how her emotion grows and starts to feel love for her fellow island inhabitants, the animals, and her son, Brightbill. And as I mentioned, this film has more than just one lesson. Another one that I wanted to touch on too is Brightbill, actually, which he's just the one that Brightbill is just a character that got thrown into the mess, kind of. It was an accident that happened, and Roz took care of Brightbill. But Brightbill himself had a good lesson as well throughout the story. You know, at the end, of course, we see the big message of gratitude with everything Roz did for Brightbill to be able to have that flight. But Brightbill in specific had a really very nice arc with his effort, with his dedication, with his mission to be able to make the flight, because a lot of times life isn't fair. Well, not a lot of times, life isn't fair. In general, we're dealt the cards that we have when we're born into this world. 7 billion, almost 8 billion of us now on this planet, and none of us were able to control where we'd be today. But it's up to us individually to make the most out of where we're at. Because in this movie, you know, that's another really great lesson, that Brightbill was born a runt. He wasn't supposed to be able to make that flight, and he probably would have been killed by his own mother, as goslings do, because it just wouldn't make sense to provide for a runt that would die come winter. So that's a very great lesson of hard work, dedication, and making your life for yourself. Because if Brightbill had not, because it was not Brightbill's fault that he had smaller wings than everyone else. It wasn't his fault, right? He was just born that way. But that limiting factor did not hold him back to just going and becoming Brightbill and being able to make that flight, that journey that he originally would have died trying to do if he even attempted it. So I really love that lesson as well that this movie teaches. I mean, like I say, there's so much packed in here. And I wanted to review this movie so bad. As soon as I saw it, I had so much to say about it. I had so much to talk about it. And I was hoping to be able to actually go ahead and make this video talking about this movie and the great things about it and recommending it to everyone. There's already talks of a sequel. And actually, this movie is part of a 3-part book series. They're based on books. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's not a secret that The Wild Robot is the first installment. The second book is called The Wild Robot Escapes, and the third book is called The Wild Robot Protects. So reports are, I don't want to read the books just because the spoiler whole situation. I know it's books and not films, but still, you know, like, I don't want to know what's gonna happen in the next movie in general. So I have not read the second or third book, but I hear that The Wild Robot Escapes, the second book, is actually an even better book than the first book. So we have the possibility of getting an even better sequel than this original film, which is amazing to me and gets me so excited. I just hope that DreamWorks really cooks this up and lets it chill in the oven as much as it needs to, because this was a great movie. we see DreamWorks every now and then throw out some bangers and also throw out some trash. You know, like Kung Fu Panda 4, for example, really unneeded. DreamWorks did that, but they did it anyway. I don't know why. It didn't really make sense. That's a whole other video in itself. But we see with other movies like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Wow, that was a great film in general with so many other lessons, and I'll probably cover it on this channel too. And you know, they did the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, which was amazing, and the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, which was also amazing. So with this film kicking us off with the DreamWorks studio behind it, which please give a trilogy to us, DreamWorks studio, I beg you. And another last final thing that this movie did greatly was the score, the soundtrack. Wow, they were cooking it up in the studio with every single soundtrack, or every single orchestra, every single score that they put into this film. It was amazing, especially whenever, I believe the song itself is called I Could Use a Boost, I think, but basically the score was at its peak in the climax of the movie, which this film, I've already given a lot of spoilers about this film in this whole talk, so I would just mention the peak climax moment whenever Roz ended up jumping into the island that's exploding, and she takes out her heart piece, chest piece I guess, and puts in a bright bill saying, I have everything I need. And at that moment the score is in its absolute peak cinema moment that just hits you hard when you think about what she means by all that. When she sees the quick flashbacks of Bright Bill growing up, every parent felt that, seeing their child grow up, remembering that. And every child that has a loving parent could also relate to that too, to know that they have a parent that does that kind of sacrifices for them. So do I recommend The Wild Robot? Yes, exactly. Go watch it. It'll give you that cinematic rush. That is exactly what I was looking for watching this movie, hearing about it. That's why I named this channel the name I gave it. It is called The Cinematic Rush because I was trying to describe that feeling that you get whenever you watch a film that resurrects your love for cinema just so much more, and you have that nostalgic feeling that, man, that's the feeling that The Cinematic Rush is, and this movie will give that to you. So if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and follow this channel for more movies. I like doing this type of film reviews. I wanted to talk about this movie, so I decided that this channel would be perfect to do that. And if you have any other recommendations for another movie that I should review, that I should talk about, please leave them in the comments below. So thank you all for listening, and until next time, this is The Cinematic Rush.